Today on Context, changing the framework for how we face the pain we wish could just go away. I'm Lorna Duick, and you're watching Context, the show that looks at life beyond the headlines. Boundaries on the views on suffering and controlling the end of life are being pushed.
I may not request euthanasia, by the way, but I would like it to be there if I think I want it.
If a person chooses euthanasia, someone else is going to do the killing.
But when you don't want it anymore, I think it's cruel.
You treat the pain, you don't kill the patient.
I should have control on my body.
I object to it because I think it's morally wrong to kill another person.
Big concerns on who should decide what happens when pain and death are inevitable. Is there a redemptive purpose that makes suffering any easier? Let's put it in context. Our first guest is taking his approach to pain and suffering to the Supreme Court of British Columbia. Russell Ogden is an advocate for assisted suicide and euthanasia and has actively researched these areas for the last 20 years. He teaches criminology at Kwantlen Polytechnic University in BC. He's the founding director of the Farewell Foundation for the Right to Die, an intervener in a case that intends to legalize euthanasia and assisted suicide in Canada. Professor Ogden, what can you tell us about the family at the heart of this case, the Carter family and Gloria Taylor?
Well, the Carter family, Lorna, went to Switzerland so that Kay Carter could have a self-chosen death at Dignitas. That happened last year. And Gloria Taylor, who is one of the other plaintiffs in this case that's coming up next month, has ALS, and she would like to be able to die here at home. So what you have is a circumstance where Canadians in serious states of suffering, either they can go abroad and have a self-chosen death in a foreign country, or they could choose to die at home in a clandestine and camouflaged and illegal way. And what Gloria Taylor would like to do is to be able to have a planned self-chosen death in her own home, in her own country. The Farewell Foundation seeks to do the same thing, to bring that Swiss option here to Canada for people like Gloria Taylor.
Okay, let's take a look at what that looks like. CTV's W5 has featured the Carter family at the heart of this challenge, and let's listen to Kay Carter's daughter and son-in-law on W5's episode, Let Me Go.
And after the photograph was taken?
She drank the...
And she drank?
Yep. Yeah, drank the barbiturate, and then it was just, she just very peacefully and gradually went away.
Professor Ogden, Kay could not walk or eat without help. Her immobility was only going to get worse. All 7 of Kay Carter's children signed a letter of support agreeing that their mom should be assisted in suicide at the Switzerland clinic. What safeguards are in place to make sure this is not happening against people's will?
Well, for Switzerland, they have a situation where there are both upfront safeguards and after-the-fact safeguards. So in Kay Carter's case, she had to show first that she wanted to request assistance, and that meant that she had to voluntarily apply for membership with Dignitas. She had to request the assistance of Dignitas. She had to show that she was of sound mind and that she was able to make competent healthcare decisions. And she had to be able to go before a physician on 2 occasions in Switzerland for a consultation to ensure that she was not operating under any kind of misapprehension about the options that were available for her for treatment of her condition, that she had to be serious about a self-chosen death. After the fact, safeguards are that every death in Switzerland is immediately reported to the authorities and immediately investigated by a coroner, a medical examiner, a prosecutor, and a police officer.
Okay, Professor, I want to ask you to comment on the current Oncology Journal, which said this spring that in the Netherlands, despite the laws, that over 500 people are euthanized against their will without explicit consent. In Belgium, that ratio's 1 out of every 3, and that the law and the safeguards that you just described are routinely ignored. What do you say to the author of that study who says we cannot handle this slippery slope?
Well, what the author of that study, Dr. Pereira, is arguing is data that concerns Belgium and the Netherlands. Now, those data show what is basically double effect euthanasia, appropriate palliative care. And in those data, while Dr. Pereira is saying that this may be evidence of abuse, what he's pointing an accusing finger at neglects to observe that 4 other fingers are pointing right back at this country. All of the deaths that Dr. Pereira is concerned about in European countries, those same kinds of deaths are occurring here in Canada all the time. We call it appropriate palliative care. We call it double effect euthanasia, but we're not measuring it, we're not reporting it, and certainly social scientists are not able to access any kind of data that would allow us to improve the quality of care and the accountability that this country should have.
The Canadian Medical Association prohibits euthanasia. What do you say about that prohibition?
Well, actually, the Canadian Medical Association does not prohibit euthanasia. The 2007 policy statement of the Canadian Medical Association says that it is society's prerogative on whether the laws concerning euthanasia or assisted suicide should be changed. The current position of the Canadian Medical Association is that while these actions are illegal, that doctors should not be providing them. But it does recognize that it's up to society to decide whether that should change.
All right. Professor Ogden, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lorna. A pleasure to be here.
Now it's time to find out what you think. Should individuals decide when and how they can die? Would you say yes? Would you say no? Are you unsure? Call us with your view at 1-800-215-4913 or send an email to answers@contextwithlorna.com. We're also on Facebook and Twitter, and if you've got a webcam, you can leave a video message on our website at contextwithlorna.com/video message. Be part of the conversation. Well, our studio audience is taking a live vote, and we'll have those results just after the break. Coming up, we'll talk more about giving people control over their pain, the other side of the debate that's headed to our courts.